The space around the giant starship Titan's Dawn rippled like water as the massive vessel dropped out of hyperspace. Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge, watching the stars shift from streaks of light back to steady points. After 150 years of travel, they had finally reached their destination. "All systems normal, Captain," reported Sophie Turner from her station. The young engineer's fingers danced across her controls, checking the quantum drives that had carried them across the galaxy. "The ship is stable and ready for normal operations." Jake nodded and looked out at the view screen. Before them hung a blue and green world, beautiful and alive. Kepler 442b looked just like the old pictures of Earth from space. White clouds swirled across its surface, and 2 small moons circled nearby. "Begin full sensor sweeps," Jake ordered. "I want to know everything about this system." The Titan's Dawn was not like the small ships that humans had built in the early days of space travel. This vessel was 50 kilometers long and 20 kilometers wide. It looked more like a flying city than a spaceship. Inside its metal walls lived 2,300,000 people. They had farms, schools, hospitals, and entire neighborhoods. For most of the passengers, this ship was the only home they had ever known. Dr. Lisa Hamilton stood at the science station, her eyes wide with excitement. She had waited her whole life for this moment. "Captain, initial scans show the planet has a breathable atmosphere. There are large oceans, continents, and what looks like plant life covering most of the land masses." "Any signs of intelligent life?" Jake asked. Lisa's fingers moved quickly across her console. "I'm detecting some unusual energy patterns, but I need more time to analyze them properly." Commander Ryan Brooks walked up to the captain's chair. The military officer had been quiet during the final approach, but Jake could see the concern in his eyes. "Sir, our defensive systems are online and ready. We should be careful until we know what we're dealing with." Jake understood Ryan's worry. The Titan's Dawn carried millions of people, including children and families. They had traveled so far from Earth that going back was impossible. If something went wrong here, there would be nowhere else to go. "Understood, Commander?" "Keep our shields up, but weapons powered down. We're explorers, not conquerors." Suddenly, Lisa's console began beeping rapidly. "Captain, I'm reading multiple artificial structures on the planet's surface. These are definitely not natural formations." Jake felt his heart beat faster. "Are you saying there's already intelligent life down there?" "Yes, sir." "And Captain, there's something else. I'm detecting movement in space around the planet. Multiple contacts, moving information." The bridge fell silent. Everyone knew what this meant. They were not alone. "Put it on screen," Jake ordered. The view screen changed to show a tactical display. Dozens of small objects were moving through space near the planet. They were too far away to see clearly, but their flight patterns were definitely controlled. "By intelligence, those are ships," Ryan said quietly. "Alien ships." Sophie looked up from her station. "Captain, they're changing course. They're heading toward us." Jake stood up from his command chair. In all their planning for this mission, they had hoped to find life on their new world. But they had never seriously considered that they might find a civilization that was already there. "How many ships?" he asked. "I count 37 vessels," Lisa reported. "They're much smaller than us, but they're moving fast and staying in tight formation." Jake looked around the bridge at his crew. These people had served with him for years. They had trained for many situations, but first contact with aliens was something they had only read about in training manuals. "All hands, this is the captain," Jake announced over the ship's communication system. "We have detected what appears to be intelligent life in this system. We are making preparations for possible first contact. All department heads report to the bridge immediately." Throughout the massive ship, people stopped what they were doing and looked up at the ceiling speakers. Parents held their children closer. Teachers tried to calm excited students. In the observation decks, crowds gathered to look out at the stars, hoping to catch a glimpse of the alien ships. "Captain," Lisa called out, "the alien vessels are slowing down. They're maintaining a distance of about 1,000,000 kilometers from us." "They're being cautious," Ryan observed, "just like we are." Jake nodded. "That's a good sign. It means they're thinking about this situation carefully." Dr. Marcus Webb, the ship's chief linguist, arrived on the bridge along with several other department heads. The older man had studied every human language and had spent decades preparing for the possibility of communicating with alien life. "Captain, are we really looking at first contact?" Marcus asked. "It appears so, Doctor. I need you to start working on communication protocols immediately." Marcus rubbed his hands together nervously. "We should start with basic mathematical concepts. Prime numbers, perhaps, or simple geometric shapes." "Captain," Sophie interrupted, "the alien ships are moving again. They're forming a larger circle around us, but they're keeping their distance." Jake looked at the tactical display. The alien vessels had arranged themselves in a perfect sphere around the Titan's dawn, but they were staying far enough away that neither side could be considered threatening. "They're studying us," Lisa said. "Just like we're studying them?" "Sir," Ryan added, "this positioning suggests they're either very cautious or very smart. Maybe both." Jake took a deep breath. The next few hours would determine the future of everyone aboard the Titan's Dawn. They had come to this star system looking for a new home. Instead, they had found neighbors. "All right, people," Jake said. "We're about to make history. Let's do this right." 3 days had passed since the alien ships first appeared. The Titan's Dawn hung in space like a small moon, while the alien vessels maintained their careful distance. Both sides seemed to be waiting for the other to make the first move. Captain Jake Morrison had not slept much during those 3 days. He spent most of his time on the bridge, watching the tactical displays and reading reports from his science teams. The alien ships were beautiful, nothing like human vessels. They were smooth and curved, almost like living things that swam through space. "Captain," Dr. Lisa Hamilton called from her station, "I've been studying the alien ships with our long-range sensors. Their technology is completely different from ours." Jake walked over to look at her screens. "What do you mean?" "Well, sir, our ships are built with metal and mechanical parts, but these alien vessels seem to be grown rather than built. They're made of some kind of organic material that I don't recognize." Dr. Marcus Webb looked up from his communication console. "Captain, I've been sending mathematical sequences toward the alien ships for 2 days now. Basic prime numbers, geometric patterns, even simple arithmetic. So far, no response." Lieutenant Amy Chun, the ship's tactical officer, turned in her chair. "Sir, the alien ships have been scanning us constantly. Our sensors show they're using some kind of energy beam to study our hull structure." Jake nodded. The aliens were clearly intelligent and curious, but they were also being very careful. He could understand that. The Titan's Dawn was probably unlike anything they had ever seen before. "Dr. Hamilton," Jake said, "what have you learned about their technology?" Lisa pulled up a detailed scan on her screen. "Their ships are much smaller than ours, Captain. The largest one is only about 2 kilometers long, but they're incredibly efficient. They seem to use some kind of biological energy source." "Biological?" Jake asked. "Yes, sir. It's like their ships are alive. They grow and change shape slightly as they move through space." Commander Ryan Brooks joined the conversation. "Captain, I've been thinking about their behavior. They're not acting aggressive, but they're not trying to communicate either. It's like they're waiting for something." Jake rubbed his chin thoughtfully. "Maybe they're as confused as we are." Think about it. We show up in a ship that's 25 times bigger than their largest vessel. They've probably never seen anything like us before. Professor Kate Logan, the ship's anthropologist, had been quietly observing the alien ship's movement patterns. Captain, I believe they're studying our social behavior. Notice how they've arranged themselves in small groups? Each group seems to be specializing in scanning a different part of our ship. What does that tell us? Jake asked. It suggests they're a cooperative species. They work together to solve problems, just like we do. Suddenly, Marcus's communication console began beeping. Captain, we're receiving a transmission from the alien ships. Everyone on the bridge turned to look at the communication station. Marcus's hands flew across his controls, trying to decode the incoming signal. What are they saying? Jake asked. It's not language as we understand it, Marcus replied. It's more like ... mathematical music. Complex patterns of numbers and frequencies. Jake felt his heart racing. Can you respond? I'm trying to match their pattern structure. Let me send back a simplified version of what they sent us. Marcus worked at his console for several minutes, then transmitted a response toward the alien ships. The bridge fell silent as everyone waited. Captain, Amy reported, the alien ships are changing formation. They're moving closer. On the main screen, the alien vessels slowly approached the Titan's dawn. They stopped about 500,000 kilometers away, much closer than before. They're responding, Lisa said excitedly. We're actually communicating with them. Marcus received another transmission, this one more complex than the first. Captain, they're sending us star charts. I think they're showing us their home system. Jake looked at the display Marcus had created. The alien star charts showed a solar system about 40 light-years away. Send them our star charts in return. Show them Earth and our journey to this system. As Marcus transmitted the human star charts, something remarkable happened. The alien ships began to move in a new pattern, almost like they were dancing in space. I think they're excited, Professor Logan observed. This formation looks like a celebration pattern. Captain, Lisa called out, I'm detecting more changes in their ships. They're actually growing new structures. It's like they're adapting their vessels for better communication. Jake watched in amazement as the alien ships changed before his eyes. New antenna-like structures grew from their hulls, and their bioluminescent markings became brighter. They're remarkable, Sophie said from her engineering station. Their technology is so different from ours, but it's incredibly advanced. Marcus received another transmission, this one including what appeared to be images. Captain, they're sending us pictures of themselves. The main screen displayed the alien images. The beings were tall and slender, with silver skin that seemed to shimmer like metal. They had large eyes and long, graceful limbs. They moved with a fluid motion that reminded Jake of dancers. They're beautiful, Lisa whispered. Send them images of us, Jake ordered. Show them what humans look like. Marcus transmitted pictures of humans from the ship's database. The response was immediate. The alien ships began transmitting rapidly, sending more images and data. There, showing us their cities, Professor Logan said, studying the incoming images. Look at this architecture. Their buildings are grown, not built, just like their ships. Jake looked at the alien cities on the screen. They were unlike anything on Earth. The buildings curved and twisted like living trees, and they seemed to pulse with inner light. Captain, Amy reported, more alien ships are arriving. I count 12 new vessels dropping out of hyperspace. Jake felt a moment of concern, but the new ships took up the same careful positions as the others. They were maintaining their respectful distance. I think word is spreading, Ryan observed. They're calling their friends to come see us. Or their leaders, Jake added. This might be about to become an official first contact. Marcus looked up from his console. Captain, I'm starting to understand their mathematical language. They call themselves something that translates roughly to the Wanderers, or the Travelers. They seem to be a nomadic species. That would explain their small ships, Lisa said. They're built for exploration, not for carrying large populations. Jake nodded. And that might be why they're so interested in us. We're doing something they've never seen before. We're traveling as an entire civilization. Captain, Marcus continued, they're asking about our ship. They want to know how many of you, yes, there are. Jake thought for a moment. Tell them we have over 2 million people aboard the Titan's Dawn. Show them that we're families, not just explorers. As Marcus transmitted this information, the alien ships went completely still. For several long minutes, there was no response. At all. Did we say something wrong? Sophie asked nervously. Finally, a new transmission came from the aliens. Marcus worked to decode it, his eyes growing wide as he understood the message. Captain, he said slowly, they're amazed. They're saying we're the first species they've ever encountered that travels with entire populations. They want to know if we're refugees or colonists. Jake smiled. Tell them we're both. We're looking for a new home, and we brought our whole civilization with us. The alien response was immediate and enthusiastic. The ships began their dancing pattern again, and the transmissions became more frequent. I think we just became the most interesting thing they've ever discovered, Professor Logan said with a laugh. Jake looked out at the alien ships, then back at his crew. They had made first contact, and it was going better than anyone had dared to hope. 2 weeks had passed since first contact, and the area around Kepler 442b had become the busiest place in the galaxy. The Titan's Dawn now shared space with over 60 alien vessels, all belonging to the species that called themselves the Zephyrians. Captain, Jake Morrison stood in the ship's main conference room, preparing for the most important meeting in human history. Today, representatives from both species would meet face-to-face for the first time. Captain, Dr. Lisa Hamilton said as she entered the room, our medical team has finished analyzing the air samples from the Zephyrian ships. We can breathe their atmosphere, and they can breathe ours. Jake nodded. That was one less thing to worry about. What about their physical structure? Are they safe to be around? Dr. Alex Rivera, the ship's chief medical officer, consulted his tablet. They're completely harmless, Captain. They're actually more fragile than humans. Their bones are hollow, like bird bones, which makes them lighter but also more delicate. Commander Susan Gray, the ship's diplomatic officer, looked up from her notes. Captain, I've been working with Dr. Webb on the translation protocols. The Zephyrians have agreed to send their expedition leader aboard our ship. They call him Navigator Essence of Silver Wind. Jake tried to pronounce the name and gave up. I'll just call him Navigator. What do we know about him? He's old by their standards, Susan replied. Over 300 years old. He's traveled to more star systems than any other member of their species. Dr. Marcus Webb entered the room, looking excited. Captain, the Zephyrians have been teaching me their language. It's based on mathematical harmonics, but once you understand the pattern, it's quite beautiful. Are we ready for this meeting? Jake asked. Commander Ryan Brooks, who had been quietly checking security arrangements, spoke up. All precautions are in place, Captain. We have medical teams standing by and security personnel positioned throughout the ship. But honestly, sir, I don't think we need to worry. These beings seem genuinely peaceful. A soft chime sounded throughout the ship, indicating that the Zephyrian shuttle was approaching. Jake looked around the room at his team. They were about to make history. All right, people, let's go meet our new neighbors. The group made their way to the ship's main docking bay. Jake had chosen this location because it was large enough to accommodate the Zephyrian delegation and impressive enough To show them the scale of human engineering, the docking bay was enormous, easily large enough to hold several smaller spacecraft. The walls were lined with viewing windows, and behind them, hundreds of curious humans had gathered to watch the historic meeting. "Incoming shuttle," announced Lieutenant Amy Chun from the control booth. "They're requesting permission to dock." "Permission." "Granted," Jake replied. "Open the bay doors." The massive doors slid open, revealing the star-filled space beyond. The Zephyrian shuttle glided into the bay with impossible grace. It was beautiful, like a work of art that happened to fly through space. Its hull seemed to pulse with soft, bioluminescent patterns. The shuttle settled onto the deck with barely a sound. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, a section of the shuttle's hull simply melted away, creating an opening. Navigator Essence of Silver Wine stepped out of his ship, and Jake heard several people gasp. The Zephyrian was tall and elegant, standing nearly 8 feet in height. His silver skin reflected the lights of the docking bay, and his large, dark eyes seemed to take in everything at once. Behind him came 2 other Zephyrians, smaller and younger looking. They moved with the same fluid grace as their leader, as if they were swimming through the air. Jake stepped forward, his heart pounding. "Navigator Essence of Silver Wine," he said, hoping he had pronounced it correctly. "I am Captain Jake Morrison, of the human vessel Titan's Dawn. Welcome aboard our ship." The navigator's response came through the translation device that Dr. Webb had prepared. His voice was like music, with harmonics that made Jake think of wind chimes. "Captain Jake Morrison," the navigator said, "I am honored to stand within your flying world. We have traveled far to see the builders of such magnificence." Jake felt a flush of pride. "Thank you, navigator. We are honored to meet you and your people." The navigator looked around the docking bay, his large eyes taking in every detail. "Your ship is like nothing we have ever seen. It is not just a vessel, but a living place. How many of your people dwell within this flying world?" "Over 2 million. Jake replied. "This ship is our home." The navigator's skin patterns shifted to brighter colors, which Jake had learned was a sign of excitement among the Zephyrians. 2 million. We travel in family groups of 50, perhaps 100 at most. But you carry entire populations across the void. Dr. Lisa Hamilton stepped forward. "Navigator, we would be honored to show you our ship. We have cities, farms, schools, and hospitals inside these walls." "Cities," the navigator repeated, his translation device struggling with the concept. "You build cities that fly among the stars?" "Yes," Jake said. "Would you like to see them?" The navigator's companions began speaking rapidly in their musical language. Jake didn't need a translation to understand their excitement. "We would be greatly honored," the navigator said. Jake led the Zephyrian delegation out of the docking bay and into the ship's main corridor. The hallway was wide enough for several vehicles to drive side by side, and the ceiling was high enough to accommodate the tall aliens comfortably. "This is our primary transportation corridor," Jake explained. "It runs the entire length of the ship." The navigator stopped and placed his hand on the wall. "Your ship has a heartbeat," he said in wonder. "We can feel the life within it." Chief Engineer Ben Parker, who had joined the tour, smiled. "That's the ship's power core. It provides energy for everything aboard the Titan's Dawn." "But it feels alive," one of the younger Zephyrians said. "Like the great trees of our homeworld." "In a way, it is alive," Ben replied. 2 million people live and work inside this ship. They are the ship's life force." The tour continued through the ship's residential areas. The Zephyrians were amazed by the sight of human families going about their daily lives. Children played in parks that had been built inside the ship's hull, while their parents worked in offices and shops. "You carry your young with you," the navigator observed. "They are born among the stars." "Many of them, yes," Jake said. Some of our people have never seen a planet. This ship is the only home they've ever known. The navigator's skin patterns shifted to deep, thoughtful colors. This is remarkable. We Zephyrians are wanderers by nature. We explore, we discover. We move on, but you humans travel as a people. You carry your civilization with you. Professor Kate Logan, who had been quietly observing the aliens' reactions, spoke up. Navigator, may I ask how your people explore space? We travel in small groups, the navigator replied. Each family group has its own ship. We spread across. A galaxy like seeds on the wind, always moving, always searching for new wonders. Don't you ever want to settle down? Jake asked. To build permanent homes? The navigator's companions exchanged glances. We are not builders, Captain Morrison. We are explorers. We discover worlds, study them, and then move on to the next star. But you humans, you are different. You carry your world with you. They reached the ship's central plaza, a vast open space with gardens, fountains, and shops. Thousands of humans were going about their daily business, creating a bustling scene that reminded Jake of the city squares back on Earth. The navigator stood in the center of the plaza, slowly turning to take in everything around him. This is not a ship, he said. Finally, this is a world that travels between worlds. Yes, Jake said, that's exactly what it is. And you are taking your world to our star system, the navigator continued. You wish to plant your civilization here like a seed that will grow into a great tree. Jake felt a moment of concern. Navigator, we don't want to take anything from your people. We're looking for a place to build our own home. The navigator's skin patterns shifted to warm, golden colors. Captain Morrison, you misunderstand. We are not territorial. We are travelers. But you humans, you are something new. You are civilization builders who travel like wanderers. One of the younger Zephyrians spoke rapidly to the navigator, who listened thoughtfully before turning back to Jake. Captain, my companion asks if you would be willing to share your knowledge of world building. We have much to learn from each other. Jake smiled. Navigator, I think this is the beginning of a beautiful friendship. 6 months had passed since the first meeting between humans and Zephyrians. The Kepler 442 system had become a gathering place for species from across the galaxy. The Titan's Dawn now shared space with over 200 alien vessels, representing 12 different civilizations. Captain Jake Morrison stood in the ship's new diplomatic center, a section that had been quickly converted to accommodate meetings with multiple alien species. He was reading reports from Earth when Admiral Helen Carter's face appeared on the communication screen. Captain Morrison, the Admiral said, her image flickering slightly due to the massive distance between Earth and Kepler 442. I've received your reports about the alien contact. The situation there is more significant than we initially realized. Jake nodded. Yes, Admiral. What started as first contact with one species has become something much larger. Tell me about these other aliens who have arrived, Admiral Carter said. Jake pulled up a display showing the various alien ships around their position. The Zephyrians were just the beginning. Word has spread throughout their network of contacts. We now have representatives from the Crystalline Collective, the Void Swimmers, the Metal Shapers, and 8 other species. Dr. Paul Mitchell, the ship's galactic sociology specialist, joined the conversation. Admiral, what we're seeing here is unprecedented. According to the aliens, no species has ever attempted large-scale interstellar colonization before. What do you mean? Admiral Carter asked. Every spacefaring species in the galaxy travels in small groups, Paul explained. They explore, they trade, they study, but they don't relocate entire populations. The concept of city ships like the Titan's Dawn is completely alien to them. Admiral Carter leaned forward. And how are they reacting to this concept? They're fascinated, Jake replied. Some of them are calling us the civilization carriers, or the world builders. They see us as something entirely new. The Admiral was quiet for a moment. Captain, I need to tell you something. The success of your mission has had major effects back on Earth. We've accelerated our shipbuilding program. 12 more vessels like the Titan's Dawn are currently under construction. Jake felt his heart race. 12 more ships? That's over 20 million people. Yes, and that's just the beginning. The United Earth government has approved plans for 50 more city ships over the next century. We're calling it the Great Expansion. Dr. Paul Mitchell shook his head in amazement. Admiral, the aliens here are going to be very interested in this news. They're already studying our approach to civilization building. That's another thing, Admiral Carter continued. We've been monitoring long-range communications from your area. The galactic community is buzzing with talk about humanity. You've become the most discussed topic in known space. Captain Nicole Davis, who had arrived from Earth 2 weeks earlier in the fast scout ship Pathfinder, spoke up. Admiral, I've been talking to the alien representatives. They're not just curious about our technology. They're interested in our social structures, our decision-making processes, and our methods of resource management. What kind of questions are they asking? Admiral Carter asked. They want to know how we make decisions for millions of people. Nicole replied. How we distribute resources, how we maintain order, how we handle conflicts. Most of their species have never dealt with populations larger than a few thousand individuals. Jake turned to face the screen directly. Admiral, we've stumbled onto something bigger than just colonization. We might be introducing a completely new concept to galactic civilization. Navigator Essence of Silver Winged entered the diplomatic center, his silver skin reflecting the room's lights. Over the past months, he had become humanity's closest alien ally and unofficial ambassador to the other species. Captain Morrison, the navigator said through his translation device, I hope I am not interrupting your communication with your home world. Not at all, Navigator, Jake replied. Admiral Carter, I'd like you to meet Navigator Essence of Silver Wind of the Zephyrian. People. The Navigator's skin patterns shifted to formal, respectful colors. Admiral Carter, I am honored to speak with a leader of the world builders. The honor is mine, Navigator, Admiral Carter replied. I understand you've been helping us communicate with the other alien species. Yes, Admiral. Your people have brought something remarkable to our galaxy. We have called a gathering of the Elder Navigators to discuss the implications of your civilization ships. Jake felt a chill. Elder Navigators? You haven't mentioned them before. They are the oldest and wisest of our kind, the Navigator explained. They remember the ancient times, when the galaxy was young and many species were still learning to travel between stars. They wish to meet with your leaders. Admiral Carter looked concerned. How many of these Elder Navigators are there? 7. Remain alive, the Navigator replied. Each has lived for over 1,000 years. Each has seen the rise and fall of entire civilizations. They are coming here to witness the world builders with their own eyes. Dr. Paul Mitchell stepped forward. Navigator, what exactly do these Elder Navigators want to discuss? The Navigator's skin patterns shifted to deep, thoughtful colors. They wish to understand how humanity's approach to space travel will change the galaxy. You see, Dr. Mitchell, most species explore space to find resources, to study new worlds, or to escape problems on their home planets. But you humans are different. How? So? Jake asked. You travel to create. You carry your civilization with you, and you plant it like seeds on new worlds. This is something that has never been done before, not in all the recorded history of the galaxy. Admiral Carter leaned back in her chair. Navigator, are your Elder Navigators concerned about humanity's expansion? Concerned? No, Admiral. They are amazed. They believe that humanity may be the key to a new age of galactic civilization. The communication screen flickered, and another voice joined the conversation. Admiral Carter, this is Director Sarah Williams from the Earth Colonial Authority. I've been monitoring this conversation from Geneva. Director Williams, Admiral Carter acknowledged. You've heard about the Elder Navigators? Yes, and I've been in contact with the World Council. They want to send a diplomatic mission to meet with these ancient aliens. This could be the most important first contact in human history. Jake looked around the room at the various human and alien representatives. Director Williams, I think we're already in the middle of the most important first contact in human history. Navigator Essence of Silverwind's skin patterns shifted to bright, excited colors. Captain Morrison speaks truth. What is happening? Here in the Kepler 442 system will be remembered for millennia. Navigator, Admiral Carter said, when will these elder navigators arrive? They are already traveling, the navigator replied. The first will arrive within 10 of your days. The others will follow soon after. Dr. Paul Mitchell pulled up a star chart. Captain, if what the navigator is saying is true, we're about to become the center of the most significant diplomatic gathering in galactic history. Jake nodded. And we're representing not just the Titan's dawn, but all of humanity. Admiral Carter's expression grew serious. Captain Morrison, I'm upgrading your mission status. You now have full diplomatic authority to represent Earth in Nandur. All negotiations with alien species. A full diplomatic team is being assembled and will depart Earth within the week. Understood, Admiral? A navigator spoke up again. Captain, there is something else the Elder Navigators wish to discuss. They have been watching Earth for some time, waiting to see what humanity would do when you reached for the stars. Jake felt a chill. What do you mean, watching Earth? The galaxy is old, Captain Morrison. The Elder Navigators have seen many. Species develop space travel. Most follow predictable patterns, but humanity has surprised everyone. How? You did not just learn to travel between stars. You learned to carry your entire civilization with you. You turned your ships into worlds. This has never been done before. Director Williams spoke from Earth. Navigator, what do the Elder Navigators think will happen next? The Navigator's skin patterns shifted to colors that Jake had never seen. Before, deep purples and golds that seemed to glow with inner light. They believe, Director Williams, that humanity will change the galaxy forever, and they want to be part of that change. Jake looked out through the diplomatic center's windows at the growing fleet of alien ships. In the distance, he could see the blue and green world of Kepler 442b, waiting for humanity to make it home. Well, Jake said quietly, I guess we're not just colonists anymore. We're galactic revolutionaries. 1 year after first contact, the Kepler 442 system had become the most important location in the galaxy. The Titan's dawn now orbited the planet that humans had named New Horizon, and the first colony settlements were already taking shape on. The surface below Captain Jake Morrison stood in the observation deck of what had once been a starship and was now humanity's first interstellar city. The Titan's dawn had been permanently stationed in orbit, serving as a space station and diplomatic center for the growing community of species that had made the system their home. Captain, Dr. Lisa Hamilton said as she joined him at the viewing window, the morning report from the surface is ready. Jake smiled at the title. He was no longer just a ship captain, but the governor of humanity's first interstellar colony. How are our settlers doing? Better than expected, Lisa replied. The first harvest from the agricultural domes was successful. We're now producing enough food to support 50,000 people on the surface. Through the window, Jake could see the lights of New Horizon City spread across the planet's northern continent. What had started as a small research outpost had grown into a thriving community of humans, Zephyrians, and several other alien species. "Any word from the other human ships?" Jake asked. "The Starlight Pioneer dropped out of hyperspace in the Ross 128 system yesterday," Lisa reported. "Captain Rodriguez reports successful arrival and no signs of alien life in that system." Jake nodded. 12 human city ships were now traveling to different star systems, each carrying over 2 million colonists. A great expansion had begun. "Captain Morrison," came a musical voice from behind them. Navigator Essence of Silver Wind entered the observation deck, his silver skin reflecting the lights of the colony below. "Navigator," Jake replied warmly. "How are the cultural exchange programs going?" "Beyond our greatest hopes," the Navigator sighed, his skin patterns shifting to bright, happy colors. "Young Zephyrians are learning human methods of building and planning. And your human children are learning our techniques of space navigation and stellar cartography." Dr. Lisa Hamilton smiled. "The first generation of truly interstellar children. They're growing up with the galaxy as their playground." Through the viewing window, they could see small Zephyrian ships dancing through space alongside human shuttles. The two species had learned to work together so well that it was sometimes hard to tell where human technology ended and Zephyrian bioships began. "Navigator," Jake said. "Elder Navigator, Whisper of Ancient Stars, wanted to speak with me today." "Do you know what this is about?" The Navigator's skin patterns shifted to respectful, formal colors. "Yes, Captain. The Elder Navigators have finished their study of human civilization. They wish to share their conclusions with you." Jake felt a flutter of nervousness. The 7 Elder Navigators had been studying humanity for months, observing everything from their technology to their social structures. Their opinion would influence how the entire galaxy viewed the human expansion. "Should I be worried?" Jake asked. "On the contrary," the Navigator replied. "You should be very pleased." Commander Susan Gray entered the observation deck, carrying a tablet with official documents. "Captain, the Colonial Council is ready for the afternoon session. We have representatives from 6 different species waiting to discuss the new trade agreements." Jake looked down at the planet below. New Horizon City was growing every day. Human families lived next to Zephyrian explorers, while children from 3 different species played together in the parks. It was everything he had hoped for when the Titan's Dawn first left Earth. "Susan, how many different species are now permanent?" "Residents of the colony?" Jake asked. 14 species have established permanent settlements," Susan replied. "And we have temporary research stations from 23 more species." Dr. Paul Mitchell, the galactic sociology specialist, joined the group. "Captain, I've been analyzing the data from all our alien contacts. What we're seeing here is unprecedented in galactic history." "In what way?" Jake asked. "Before humanity arrived, most alien species lived in isolation. They would trade occasionally or meet for scientific exchanges, but they never lived together permanently. The idea of multi-species colonies was unknown." Navigator Essence of Silver Wind's skin patterns brightened. "Dr. Mitchell speaks truth. In over 50,000 years of galactic civilization, no one has ever attempted what you humans have accomplished here." "What exactly have we accomplished?" Jake asked. "You have created the first truly integrated galactic community," Paul replied. "Humans, Zephyrians, crystalline collective members, metal shapers, and a dozen other species all working together as neighbors." Sophie Turner, the chief engineer, appeared on the observation deck's communication screen. "Captain, the Elder Navigators. Ship is approaching. He's requesting permission to dock." "Permission granted," Jake replied. "And Sophie, how are the modifications to the station coming along?" "We've successfully integrated Zephyrian biotechnology with our mechanical systems," Sophie reported. "The station is now partially alive, just like their ships. It's learning to adapt and grow as our population increases. Jake shook his head in amazement. The Titan's Dawn was no longer just a human vessel. It had become something new, a hybrid of human engineering and alien biotechnology. "Captain," the navigator said, "Elder Navigator Whisper of Ancient Stars has arrived. He wishes to meet with you in the council chambers." Jake straightened his uniform. "Well, let's go find out what a 1,000-year-old alien thinks about humanity." The group made their way to the council chambers, a large room that had been designed to accommodate representatives from many different species. Elder Navigator Whisper of Ancient Stars was waiting for them, his ancient silver skin marked with patterns that seemed to tell the story of 1,000 worlds. "Captain Morrison," the Elder Navigator said, his voice carrying harmonics that spoke of incredible age and wisdom. "I have studied your species for one full cycle of seasons. I have watched your people work and live and dream. I have come to share our conclusions." Jake sat down across from the ancient alien. "Elder Navigator, we are honored by your attention. What have you learned about humanity?" The Elder Navigator's skin patterns shifted to deep, thoughtful colors. "Captain Morrison, in my 1,000 years of life, I have seen many species reach for the stars. Most seek resources. Some seek knowledge. A few seek escape from their problems. And what do humans seek?" Jake asked. "Humans seek to plant gardens." "In the void," the Elder Navigator replied, "you do not just travel to new worlds. You carry your civilization with you and plant it like seeds. Then you tend those seeds until they grow into new civilizations." Dr. Paul Mitchell leaned forward. "Elder Navigator, how do the other galactic species view this approach?" "With great interest," the Elder Navigator replied. "For 50,000 years, the galaxy has been a place of wanderers and traders. But you humans are builders. You create communities where none existed before. Is this seen as a good thing?" Jake asked. The Elder Navigator's skin patterns shifted to brilliant gold. "Captain Morrison, the Elder Navigators have made a decision. We believe that humanity represents the next stage of galactic evolution." Jake felt his heart racing. "What does that mean?" "It means that we will support your expansion across the galaxy. More than that, we will help you teach other species how to build their own traveling civilizations." Navigator essence of silver winds. Skin patterns erupted in excited colors. "Captain, this is the highest honor the Elder Navigators can bestow. They are offering to make humanity the teachers of galactic civilization." "But we're still learning ourselves," Jake protested. "Yes," the Elder Navigator agreed. "And that is why you are perfect for this role. You approach each new world with curiosity and hope. You do not seek to conquer. You seek to create." Commander Susan Gray spoke up. "Elder Navigator, what would this partnership look like?" "The Elder Navigators will share our knowledge of the galaxy with humanity. We will guide your ships to the best worlds for colonization. In return, you will teach other species how to build traveling civilizations of their own." Jake looked around the room at his human colleagues and alien friends. "Elder Navigator, are you saying that what we've built here in the Kepler 442 system could be replicated throughout the galaxy?" "Not replicated, Captain Morrison. Improved upon. Each new colony will learn from the previous ones. Each new community will be better than the last." Dr. Lisa Hamilton smiled. "We could have dozens of systems like this one. Hundreds even. Thousands," the Elder Navigator corrected. "The galaxy is vast, Captain Morrison. There are millions of worlds suitable for life. Most have remained empty because no species has ever attempted large-scale colonization." Jake stood up and walked to the chamber's viewing window. Outside, he could see the lights of New Horizon City twinkling on the planet below. Human children and alien youngsters were playing together in parks that had been built with technology from a dozen different species. "Elder Navigator," Jake said, "when I left Earth, I thought we were just looking for a new home. I never imagined we would end up changing the entire galaxy." The ancient alien skin patterns shifted to warm, approving colors. "Captain Morrison, the best revolutions are started by people who simply want to make a better life for their children." 6 months later, Jake stood in the same